Engine 1 out, World Trade Center, 1060. Send every available ambulance, everything you got to the World Trade Center now.
Welcome to Burnt Out. The Burnt Out podcast shares the stories of firefighters, emergency personnel, and other first responders around the world to create a pathway to save lives. The stories you will hear are real and may be disturbing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. And now I'd like to introduce you to your host for Burnt Out, a 33-year retired veteran of the fire department, Skip O.
Hey, Sean, thank you for that introduction. I also like to thank our three sponsors, Turning Point Madison County, Code Green, and Bridges of Hope of Madison County. You can go to burnoutpodcast.org and you can see more information on their links. But we're here today. We've got our guest host. We got Adam Johnson. Adam, welcome. Thank you for coming on here for helping me host.
Yeah, thanks, Skip. Thanks for having me on here. I've been excited for this.
Well, cool. And Adam's got introduced me to Jurrell, and Jurrell was a Marine for 8 years. He's had some struggles in his life, and he's here to share his experience, strength, and hope. Jurrell, thank you for being on here today.
Hey, thank you for having me, Skip.
Well, Jurrell, you want to give a little glimpse of your background in the Marines and stuff, and we'll go into some other questions.
All right, yeah. So my name is Jurrell Atkins. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I left for the Marine Corps on my 19th birthday. And, even before then, also like heavy drinking, partying, and, being young. But as the time I went through the Marine Corps, unsignificant things have happened to me. So, the common, combat PTSD and the military guys that have, issues whenever they went overseas, but nobody ever looks back at what actually happens on base, back in the rear, how we call it. And, a lot of stuff does happen. There's the hazing that happens. There's, just mistreatment of, junior Marines. And it's just a constant thing. And I've had a friend try to commit suicide. Luckily, he failed that. One of my junior Marines was getting hazed one time, and I was the type of guy that didn't deal with shit like that. And so I was already dubbed as the fighter of the platoon by everybody because I always got into fights in clubs and stuff. And so I took a shooter fight, but I was about to go take out like 2 officers, 3 corporals, and a sergeant. And one of my staff sergeants had to stop me because he knew that what I was planning on doing was going to happen if he didn't stop me. And then, they got in my face and they were trying to, intimidate me. And, just the stresses that I had to deal with, it just caused me to drink even more. I only drink on the weekends. And then all of a sudden it came to the point where I was drinking that during the weekdays. And I've gotten in trouble for underage drinking countless times, but never got, charged for it. How I didn't, my higher power will keep that to himself. But, I got out, and, I didn't, only a couple people knew about what happened to me.
What year, Jurrell, what year was it when you got out?
2012, I finished active duty. 2016, I finished my whole contract.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but before I got out active duty, when was it? Before I picked up corporal. So one of my younger Marines, he just got a house. He wanted to throw a little housewarming party. So we all went over there, and I got obliterated. His wife put me in one of their extra bedrooms, and my platoon sergeant, who was a good friend of mine, he was on the couch with her sister, and they said they heard me yelling. So they went in there, and 2 Marines that were our mechanics in my platoon had me face down with my pants down, and they were holding me down. And the only thing I can really remember, I remember bits and pieces of the situation that happened, Well, the main thing that happened, what I remember that set me off was when they got in my face and called me a nigger. And my boy Nolly, my sergeant, he was like, dude, it was like watching a WWE wrestling match. So you took on both of them, and I mean, because I asked why my hand was hurting. No, that's the only thing I came out was a hurt hand. And he said I beat the hell out of them. And the fact of the matter is like that. What they tried to do to me, it fucked me up. Yeah, it fucked me up. And they tried to be cool with me like that. I was like, don't fucking talk to me right now. I'm gonna fucking kill you. And that sat with me forever. And then, I got out, found, some friends out here in San Diego because my parents moved out here and they wanted me to move out here with them. And it just started from there. I got into a situation with a young lady who tried to say I got her pregnant. I was freaking out, this and that, because she lived all the way in West Virginia. And, my parents asked me, like, why are you drinking like this? And I showed them the picture of the baby, and we got that all solved. So, long story short, that got solved. It wasn't mine. But then, out here in the civilian world, like, I hated civilians. I hated them. Because, the common sense was just gone. I just couldn't stand it. And, I became a security guard. I got to see things like, I didn't want to see. I had to take care of. I had to handle. Got into fights. And it just, my drinking just started progressing. And, go ahead, Skip.
Jurrell, you think, when you say you hated civilians and you're short-tempered, you think the trauma that when you was in service, all that stuff you just said, did that help feed into what about the hatred and the resentments towards civilians?
Yes, because Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, like the civilians always wanted to fight a Marine. They always wanted to fight us, and I couldn't go out to a club with my friends without worrying that I'm gonna get into a fight. So I was always on my, my six, always on my P's and Q's, always watching my corners, even just have a good time. It's like I couldn't be normal, but when I drank, it didn't matter at that point because when I drank, you could hit me and I'd be like a brick wall. I wouldn't even feel it. It wouldn't faze me. So at that point, because once you hit me, now it's over. Now I'm like, I'm a juggernaut. I'm just gonna fucking destroy you. And I didn't like that part of me. As I looked back on it, I said, I'm glad I haven't fought anybody in about 10 years. And I'm glad I haven't got to that point. Go ahead, Adam.
Jurrell, I'm sorry that happened to you, that night. What was the outcome of that? Did you get in trouble for the fight?
No, we never got in trouble. It stayed between us, me, my sergeant, my junior Marines, and the two that ended up hurt pretty badly. That they had black eyes and ribs were hurting. I was the only one that could come out with no pain. So, and everybody asked me the same thing, like, why didn't you say anything? I was like, well, what was I going to say? They already know that I drink a lot. And then I said, oh, yeah, we were at a party drinking, and then Matika and so-and-so tried to do this to me. And I'm like, well, why'd you put yourself in that situation? I was just thinking about all the negatives that was going to be said because of my reputation in my unit. And so I just let it go. I mean, I whooped their ass. That was enough for me at the time. And it took me a while to even with my girlfriend, she was would like to touch my butt or whatever, and I would jump and freak out. And when we're at the casino and I'm focused on the game, having fun, then she'll come up behind me, jump, and and I still can't get over that. The jump, her touching my butt thing, that's fine. I'm over that now. But just coming up behind me unannounced, it still bothers me. I was in the Serenity shop, sitting down in that chair, it sits right in front of the register. And I heard somebody walk in, but then I didn't see him. And it was Justin. And Justin scared me. And I immediately balled up my fist and was ready to just punch him in the chin. And that bothers me because I don't like having to do that. And see, that's when I was using, I never felt that way. Because, I felt invincible. You can do whatever you want to me. I'm just going to wait till you're done. I'm going to retaliate.
Jurrell, do you talk to a counselor or any kind of therapy for any of your PTSD or the things that you've gone through?
Yeah, I have a counselor, or not a counselor. I have a psychiatrist I talk to. He's got a lot of patients, so I talk to him like every other month, which is good because it gives me, enough to talk to him about that he can give me some suggestions to work on, and whatever. And he keeps first thing he asks me is like, "Have you picked up?" I'm like, "Nope, haven't picked up." He's like, "All right, well, we're already on a good start." He reminds me every single time as long as I haven't picked up.
Well, Jurrell, I want to tell you something right now before we go on further. For you to share that story and share share some things that's going on with you is courageous. And I tell you, for us guys, and I'm not saying women aren't like that either, but being a first responder, being a guy, you got to be that tough guy. You don't share things like that. But for you, that is growth right there, my brother. For you to be able to share that on here, you're going to help open the doors for a lot of people, guys and ladies that are first responders that couldn't share or still are suffering in silence. And I just want to applaud you for that and thank you for sharing that story.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, and the reason why I told you I have no limits is because my sponsor told me one thing, especially with my 4-step. He's like, "Why be afraid to talk about your past traumas when you can help the next person by showing them where you're at now?" Like I'm strong. Like you said, we're men. We're strong. We can't show no weakness. But the strongest man can express what he really feels and tells what bothers him, and then he can get through it. Like Adam's heard me in the rooms. I have no filter. I'll fucking say whatever I gotta say, whatever I feel, because for so long I couldn't say anything to anybody without them feeling that I'm just trying to be victimized or I'm trying to get pity or this and that. Now I make sure that I say this on a confident level where I don't want you to be, "Oh, Jurrell, I'm sorry, it's not." I just want you to know this is how I'm feeling right now, but look, I'm still doing okay. I'm still making it through. And I want to share that everybody out there that it's okay to say what's wrong with you, express how you feel, because when you hear it out of your own mouth, I don't know, but for me, when I say, let's say for example, "Oh, I want to jump off a bridge." Damn, that sounds really fucking stupid right now. It makes me think. It's like, okay, why would I want to do that? Because I've already jumped off one bridge. I attempted suicide back in 2017, and that experience was so like, I guess you say traumatizing or euphoric to me to realize that there really is a reason why I'm still here.
Is jumping off that bridge, is that what got you to get help finally?
Yes. Like I had cheated on my girlfriend and I saw the pain and destruction I had caused just by listening to her voice over the phone. And my disease was so bad, I was worried about her finding my gram of coke and 3 bottles of whiskey I left in the car. That's what I was so much worried about. That's how bad my disease was. And I went and took the whole gram in, drank the shots, got to work, left work, drained my bank account, cried on the side of a church for 2 hours to my cousin, got on top of the bridge, woke up in the hospital with my mom sitting next to me. First time in my life I experienced humility right there. I looked at my mom and I thought to myself, I was like, how fucking selfish of me to try and take my mother's firstborn away from her. During that time in my coma, I experienced out-of-body experiences. I lived like 2 different lives. One life I was living in Mexico, driving a car with a girl next to me, running drugs for the cartel. Next one, I'm getting married in some stadium. But in between those times, a light would come on and I would see a lady and tell me, Jurrell, everything's going to be okay.
Jurrell, how long were you in a coma for?
3 weeks.
Oh.
And all I can remember seeing is that person saying, Jurrell, it's going to be okay. And I woke up, I can't move, I got tracheotomy, back's broken, 4 ribs broken. And the nurse that saved my life, because they had brought me in as just some drunk guy on the street. And the nurse was like, no, there's something else wrong with him. Because I was trying to get up, move around, and I was trying to talk. You know, being a Marine, I'm tough, this and that, yeah, whatever. And she took me in, and she found everything that was wrong with me. She saved my life. She told me whenever I woke up, she's like, you should be dead right now. Look me dead in my eyes. So you should be dead. The coke and the drinking did not save your life. So I need you to do me a favor to find out what your purpose is right now. So I got out of the hospital in 2 weeks after waking up. They couldn't believe it. Because I believe in the whole spiritual thing that your mind controls your body. So I didn't want to be in there anymore, so I knew I had to heal. So I got up, I have a video my mom took that's me walking around the hospital to go see my dog. And so I checked out of the hospital after 2 weeks. And then, I still was drinking. Oh, shoot. I still was drinking, sorry. And one time my girl was looking at my old pictures on my old phone and all my old text messages to the girl I cheated on her with. I got in my feelings and I took her car because I have a broken back and I'm in a back brace and stuff. I took her car and I went off driving. Went to the liquor store, bought a whole 12-pack of the little minis. Went to my job. My boss was scared. He thought I was dead. I talked to him, apologized to him. By the time I was on my way back home, I told my girlfriend to call the police because I didn't realize I drank all 12 of those little bottles. And an officer sat on my stoop with me, former Navy, and told me, Jurrell, it's okay. Go ask for help. You're not any weaker than anybody for asking for help. Called my dad. My dad was like, Jurrell, you need to get some fucking help, dude. That following Tuesday, November 3rd, I checked myself into a rehab. I was just going to do the 30 days. But I met some good guys. We talked on levels, different levels with each other. And then we went into the extended program together. I will spend another 8 months in rehab. And that's how I found my 12-step program that I'm in now. And, I'm a work in progress. But there's a lot of things that I used to do that are no longer in existence anymore. And my anger towards my father, my biological father, has dissipated because I wrote him a letter. I didn't mail it to him, but I wrote him a letter explaining, giving in full detail how my life has been. And once I wrote that and finished that letter, it's a lot of weight off my shoulders. I was able to forgive him for all he did. And that was part of my main need to get clean was to be able to forgive him.
Was that a pretty much a pivotal point in your sobriety, writing that letter?
Yeah.
Is that one of? I mean, there are probably a number of them. Was that one of the biggest ones?
Yes, that was one of the biggest ones because I had so much anger towards him. Because it wasn't just me that he deserted. It was my brother and my sister. You know, my little brother, he just passed this year from the disease. Like, he has no soul. Like, he didn't even go to his funeral. And I can't find myself really being mad at him because he's in his disease. His disease does that to us. And I had the chance, I was in Oklahoma on my way back from New York. One, to find the two dudes that was with my little brother that night. They just dropped him off in the parking lot at the ER. Two, drive an extra hour to my father and break his legs. I had that opportunity. This is my disease talking to me right here. He's like, you can go do this. Go ahead. Nobody's going to know. It's going to be all right. But instead, I went and saw one of my best friend's son. I got to meet his son. I got to go see my other best friend's mom. I got to talk to her for a while. And doing that, got rid of the urge to want to do that. Guys, I mean, I'm born and bred in Oklahoma. If you hurt anybody in my family, you're going to get hurt too. That's how we are. And I don't have to live that way today. Karma, the universe, God, whatever people want to believe, that's going to get a hold of them one day. Except the things I cannot change. I cannot change the fact that people are the way they are.
I tell you, just hearing your story from you just got amazing where you came from, serving in the Marines and being attacked, one from being the color of your skin and the other thing, just being a Marine and getting attacked. And then the disease hitting you, jumping off the bridge and then fighting through that battle between your ears to get where you're at today. You have a purpose to be here. You have a purpose that I can see. Adam, what do you think?
Man, yeah, it's unbelievable that you're able to push through this. And the new Jurrell, the Jurrell that I know, man, you are strong. Not for being the Marine that you were and are, I guess still are, yes. But man, I look up to him. I look up to this guy, Skip. I like talking to him. I like having him in my corner as a weapon in my arsenal.
Okay, Jurrell, what do you do? What do you do now to help other people and stay clean and sober?
I have three sponsees. One I haven't talked to in a while, but the one I haven't talked to in a while, I met him before COVID, and he was supposed to do a 30-day call thing with me. He ended up disappearing, and then all of a sudden after COVID, he shows up and asked me to be a sponsor again. He's 30. He's starting on the steps, but him calling me. He tells me all these things that he his urges and whatnot. And I tell him, well, use that urge in your job. Every urge that you get, use that in your job. Now he's been promoted 3 times. He got his own place now. He's able to have stay over visits with his kids now. One of my neighbors, old neighbors, Tyler, he used to call me a sponsor just for the courts, whatever. And I was driving to Phoenix for a tournament, and he had saw me on the highway as I was driving past Viejas, and we were talking on the phone for a little bit, this and that. And then 7 days later, he calls me again. He was like, Jurrell, I'm ready. And I'm thinking he wants to be an umpire. I was like, you ready? What do you mean? He's like, I'm ready for you to actually be my sponsor. I checked myself in the detox after we talked that day. Got his step. He did his 30. He's got his book and his step work now. He's got 48 days clean now. And I'm just so proud of him.
Here's what I hear. I hear you get out of yourself. You share your experience and strength with hope somebody. It helps you stay clean and sober and alive. And you for the extra help, you see a psychiatrist Was it once a month? Or
Yeah, once every month.
okay, cool. It sounds like you got the tools and you're doing it. But say somebody's listening to this podcast right now. They're sitting here. They're sitting in a room by themselves, and they got a bottle of whiskey or some Coke or whatever their thing is, and they don't know which direction to go, and they're at that jumping off place, and you got a chance to talk to them for about 30 seconds. What are you going to tell them?
I'm going to tell them to pick up the bottle and look underneath it. Look at the bottom. And when you see, you're going to see the top through the bottom. So do you want to look at where you need to be on the ground, or do you want to look at where you need to be standing up? And what I mean by that is, when we look at our goals and what we could have, we're looking at them from afar, like on a TikTok, on a Facebook, or whatever. We're looking at what we could have done, but we didn't make that first step to do the right thing. If you stand up and look at the top, you have a lot better chance of getting there than when you're laying down looking from the bottom.
Man, I just want to thank you for coming on here, Jurrell, and being on our podcast. Adam, before we ask that one quote from, do you got any questions or comments for Jurrell?
No, man, just thank you for your service. Thank you for coming on here.
Thank you guys for having me.
When I ask all the guests, what is a quote or a statement that keeps you going? Is there some kind of quote that crosses your mind that keeps you going if you're having a rough day?
It's something my sponsor tells me all the time. And I kind of like made my own little thing about it. I'm like the Netflix binge watcher. I want to see what's coming next. He always says more will be revealed. If I pick up, I won't get to see that next episode.
That's good.
That is good. That is really good.
Well, Jurrell, thank you for being on here. Thank you for your service. And I'd like to thank everybody for listening to us. If you need some help, you need some meetings, the Worldwide Peer Support does meetings 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And you can meet Adam on Sundays along with us. That he facilitates that meeting. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern. You go to the website, worldwidepeersupport.org, and that'll give you the times and contact information. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors. You can go on burnoutpodcast.org and see more about our sponsors on there. But I'd just like to tell everybody, go home tonight, shut your radio off, and get some sleep. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Burnout. Burnout is brought to you by the Worldwide Peer Support. You can visit Burnout Podcast at burntoutpodcast.org or visit Worldwide Peer Support at worldwidepeersupport.org. Your host for Burnt Out is Skip O. Executive producer Sean P. Neal. And produced by mypodcast.media.